Hey Gabby, Mrs. M here with this week's writing lesson. This week, we're looking at endings with impact. Last week, we looked at how to use sizzling starts in an informative text. So this week, let's look at how to finish that as well as we began. So let's have a little look at the slide for this week. So we've looked at some documentaries and they are scripted just like stories. In fact, the best ones operate like a narrative. So you need to know the structure before you begin, which means knowing how it will end before or when you begin the writing. So, like a classic narrative, documentary films have three parts: a beginning that grabs the viewer's attention and introduces the main character and key conflict issue, and the middle, that's multiple scenes that build interest and develop the theme and play out the conflict or all the information that we have to share about something. And an end where the moment of tension or conflict comes to a peak and there's either a resolution or an emotional appeal to the viewer or the reader. And that would be in a persuasive text in particular. We're going to look at a trailer now of this BBC documentary called One Life. While you watch this, I want you to think, what do you expect to see in the full documentary? This is just the trailer, so it's like a teaser. But what is it teasing you? What do you think you're going to see? How does the trailer build anticipation? Don't just use your eyes, use your ears as well. So what footage hooks you in? At the end of this, we're going to go to our doc and write some emotional words that you felt while you were watching this. Let's enjoy this. All right. You might want to pause the video here and go to your doc. Whoops. And go to your doc here. Just finding that. Here, day 3, writing endings with impact. So they're the questions we looked at before. Have a think of those and list your emotional words that you felt during that. Now, I've popped some here to help you out because I want you to stretch your vocabulary and consider some of the words that we used in our PDH unit last term. So perhaps if there's any of these that you felt, maybe go back and watch the video again in the slideshow and then highlight the ones that you felt. If you saw wonder, go up and highlight that. If you felt anxious at any moment, there's all sorts of emotions I felt in there. And then, of course, you can add your own. All right, back to the slideshow. We are going to watch this next part, which is the actual ending of the One Life documentary series. So while you watch this, think about some phrases that you might use to describe the message that is being sent to us or the emotion of this ending that the feeling that you get. Consider using phrases, not just one word, but a phrase like it appeals to something deep within me, or it challenges us not to think of humans as the only important life on earth. And just have a look at what footage they use in this. Do you see anything the same as in the trailer?
And we're no different. We see so much of us in them, and them in us. Whether it's intelligence or ingenuity, strength, grace, or determination. Courage. Even love. Their lives, our lives, all life on earth will be richer if we choose to remember everything we have in common. To remember, we share one planet, one future.
So powerful. Just looking into the eyes at the end, or thinking about that we share one planet. That's what I want you to think about as you write in your doc now. What phrases to express your emotions or deeper thoughts there? What is this documentary making you do? Okay, you might want to go to your doc now and do that and pause this. Now we're going to go on. Okay, to finish off, we really need a great ending, because what you're left with is what the reader is left with. And that if they're satisfied, then it'll be a great ending. But if it's not a great ending, they're dissatisfied. So let's look at 4 different techniques you can use to end an informative text. The first one, link to a sizzling start or have a circular ending. That means that you go back to that moment that you started with. In the documentary, the ending references the monkeys in the pond that were at the very end of the opening trailer. So that's referencing the beginning. You could paint a word picture like we've done a lot with our 5+1s, using our emotions and our senses to give meaning and to what we've shown. You can use a call to action. Now, this is asking the viewer to do something. And the end of the documentary had that in there as well. It's great for a persuasive text when you really need to change someone's thinking or convince them of something and influence them. Or you can look at the future, ask a question, point to an event that might happen in the future. Make the reader or the watcher think. Okay, so if we think about last week's lesson, we looked at the sizzling start for some wombat informative texts. Let's have a look at some of those. They're just the ones that we looked at last week. And how could we use those to help us create an ending? Well, we're going to pick this one that's intrigue and do a circular ending with this one. It started with, spread out a rug at Healesville Sanctuary and be prepared for an interesting visitor, one that scratches a lot, sniffs a lot, and demands a lot of carrots. Welcome to Wombats. You would then go on and have all your information, your interesting paragraphs about wombats. But to finish off, you would reference that scene that you've said at the beginning about being on a rug. So the ending I've written is, so pull out a rug at Healesville Sanctuary and get up close with a wombat and see if what you've just read is really true. Make sure you eat your food quickly, though, before they get close enough to steal it from your picnic basket. So you could try that from one of your beginnings. Or you can paint a picture. Now I've used the one that had the humorous picture painting and I'm repeating that at the end. So I'm also using a bit of a circular ending. So it started with square. That's the first word that links with wombats. Square solid body, square face, and oh yeah, square poop. So then you'd have all your information, and my ending that I've chosen is, while everything looks square to start with, you soon realise that there's much more to wombats when you get up close. You realise their poop isn't square, it's cubed. They have curves and are very cheeky, nudging your feet looking for food. But it's not all about food and poop. Wombats are an important part of the ecosystem in Australia, and square or not, we need them. So you could try that. Call to action. This is really useful, as I said, for persuasive text. And if you've done your grammar lesson already this week, I think was on day 2, you were looking at modality and the modal verbs. And the modal verb for obligation is what you would want to use in this one. See if you can find it. So get on down to Healesville Sanctuary and learn even more about these amazing cheeky creatures, so you know what you can do to make sure these unique native animals are around for a long time to come. They are too precious to lose. You must get involved. Did you see it? There? Yeah, must. And finally, the ending that makes the reader look at the future and ask some questions so that they think further. With wombats on the endangered list, what does the future hold? Can you imagine a world without wombats? They may not feature in your daily life, but if wombats didn't exist, we'd never have the classic picture book Diary of a Wombat and all the ones that came after that. We'd never appreciate just how cute a chunky brown little stubby-legged marsupial could be. It makes us think, what do we need to do now to ensure we have wombats long into our future? Okay. So now you're going to go to your document, and I want you to look at your writing from last week on the walking shark. You were asked to write 2 different sizzling starts and then 3 or 4 paragraphs of information on the epaulette shark. Now, you may not have done that, so there's information here on this website you can click on and it will take you to more information. But I want you to consider how to end your information report. You might even want to use David Attenborough's voice in your head again. That will help you to choose appropriate language. But try 2 of these techniques. We want you to write 2 different endings. Try either a sizzling start with a circular ending, or painting a word picture, call to action, or a look at the future. Now, you might put 2 of those together in one of yours, as I did. But go to your doc now and write 2 different endings. Here in your doc is where it says. Now, you might choose to do the sizzling start. If that's what you're going to do here, highlight that one there. If you're going to do paint a word picture and put call to action with it, then highlight that and start writing there. That's that for today's lesson. So I hope you enjoy that and go ahead and write. And on day 4, which is probably your Friday, when it's a free write day, you might like to choose to turn one of these stories you've written into a mini documentary and actually film it. Or you could write about your own pet or a toy you have and just make a fun little documentary. We'd love to see that if we have any budding David Attenboroughs in our midst. So you could upload it to the document or email it to your teacher. Happy writing, Toon Gabby. Enjoy your day.